What up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Welcome to another edition of the Charles Coleman Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Coleman. Super excited about today's show. Got a lot to get into. We're going to get right into it. But before we do, make sure you hit that like button at the bottom of the screen. Make sure you're subscribed, whether you're listening on Apple Music, whether you're listening on Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, any of the above. And of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you are liked, subscribed, and registered to the Charles Coleman Podcast, your new home for Black brilliance and your favorite podcast. So, of course, I've got my dream team with me. I am running a triangle offense. Always love running the triangle offense with my favorite people on the dream team. And so we're going to get right into it, get started. Y'all know her. Y'all love her. To my right, the leader of the Blue Notes is in the building. She's the boss at 593 Washington. The professional winner, Gloria and Curt, is in the building. What up, sis? You looking real,
All right.
I'm just trying to give a black woman a compliment.
I appreciate you.
You looking real
all starbursty.
You looking fly.
Thank you, baby. How you?
I love it. I love the collar. I love it. I love your look too.
I appreciate it.
Thank you. So you always show up real right.
You know, thank you, man. You know I gotta do it just for you.
Just for me?
Just for you. Curt, don't look.
I can't.
Always love having Gloria on the couch, a fan favorite, of course. And to my left, my man, you already know him, you already love him. Understated but never underrated, my man, Coleman Curt, is in the building. This is the point. Every time with Curt,
that's right.
And the point, he gets started.
That's it.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. How are you, brother?
I'm great, man. How you feeling?
Feel great.
Super duper excited to have y'all. I always love running this triangle offense. It's always a lot of fun. So I'm gonna tell y'all something that you may not have ever realized before. I'm gonna mess your head up. Because once I tell it to you, I guarantee you will never ever be able to unhear what I'm about to say. All right? Ice-T, the rapper or the actor, he talks in rhythm. Like, have you ever noticed that?
I haven't. Actually.
He talks in rhythm. Like, even when he's on Law and Order, he talks like there's a beat behind what he's saying. Listen to Ice-T, you will never be able. It's the wildest shit ever. Like, one of my people's pointed this out to me, and I never, ever was able to hear. Yeah, because the captain at the station said the witness saw you at the scene. He talks like that all the time. And even when he's in, it's so wild. So he has this new thing. He's like going from being a gangster rapper to being a cop, which is weird, like on TV. And then he's going to being now he sells automotive repair insurance. Like he's in one of those commercials. So he's in the commercial talking in rhythm. Yo, what's up? I'm Ice-T. You ever have your car break down on you? Word. So then
Yo, damn
it's the craziest ever. I'm telling you will never, ever.
I'm sitting here bugging.
You heard it before. Yeah, if you.
I'm like, yeah, he do kind of sound like that though.
It's nonstop. I just want to know what beat he's on. Cause
Colors. That's
right.
what he's on.
Right. That's what he's on.
He's on Colors.
All the time.
100%.
You will never now when you listen to it,
I'm playing his voice in my head.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm playing his head like that. He do really sound like
he
that.
talks in rhythm. Regardless of the scenario. It could be Law and Order, or it could be selling car accident repair insurance, and he's still I'm Ice-T. You ever have your car break down on you? Word. You don't want to pay full price for a muffler, so get your insurance and get that taken care of. That's his thing. That's going to bring us to our show, because our news and views on conversations that are on the mind, but you may not necessarily have heard in mainstream media. So recently, there was a situation that had me thinking about whether we can even have an opinion anymore. I don't know if you heard about this. Stephen A. Smith came under fire because apparently he's not the biggest Rihanna fan. He was like, well, it's not like it's Beyonce. And so then the internet went crazy, and it was this whole thing why are you putting these black women together? It was a whole thing. Regardless of how you feel, can the man have an opinion? Gloria, you are our, you are our lady in the house today. Did he like do some cardinal sin by comparing his love for or his preference for Beyonce as a performer to Rihanna? Like, what's the issue?
What is the issue with Stephen A. Smith? His opinions are just always off the wall. Like he is like, it's not like, oh, you can't have an opinion. It's this guy.
Okay.
He's always so left. And if you not a big fan of Rihanna, just be like, I'm not a big fan of Rihanna. Why you gotta bring B into it? You know what I'm saying? Make that kind of comparison.
So you felt like
black men hate black women.
Hold on.
He's
You're
always
doing way too much. You're dragging it. You're doing way too much.
I'm just dragging. But no, at the end of the day, he didn't need to make the comparison. I think that he could have just
hurt just now.
Stated. Like,
what?
We only in 30 seconds.
Right, we like 5 minutes into the show.
Real talk though. Oh boy, he's always too far to the left, and he could have just said he wasn't really feeling Rihanna as a performer for the Super Bowl, and just left it at that.
So you really were offended by, but like, you think people were really offended by the comparison?
I think women were offended by the fact that he had to
drag somebody else who wasn't in the conversation
and make the comparison.
Curt, you and I talked about people being able to say what they want to say and have opinions. What's your reaction to it? Because he apologized. He went back and did a mea culpa and was like, yo, my bad, I shouldn't have never said anything. Some people were mad at him for that because they felt like, yo, if that's your opinion, stand on it.
You can't.
What do you mean?
You can't. Because I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but you just can't.
You opened it up.
Yeah, I mean, for who he is, and he has a platform and a group of people that kind of revere his opinion. Okay. It's a little dangerous, It's one of those conversations I felt like if he was at home, he could say.
But publicly.
Publicly, you just can't. Even if that's how you felt. Like some things you just got to keep to yourself.
When do you reach that level? Because I know I'll be honest with you, I know that for me, like there are discussions that, like, proverbially speaking, I'll see online and I'll look over and be like, oh, I'm not getting in that. Mm-hmm. And I just won't touch it because I don't want the smoke. I'm not Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith is, he's got his own show every day. I might be soon. Stay tuned.
We're working on it.
Right? Mm-hmm. But all jokes aside, like, at when are you at that level that you are no longer allowed to make those sorts of comparisons?
I just think that we need to be a little bit more sensitive on the fact that your platform is so big, right? Like, why we just can't celebrate the fact that she's doing what she's doing?
But why can't he have an opinion about?
He can have an opinion, but just keep it to yourself. Like, it's not. What was the point? What was the value in weighing in on that?
That's a fair point. Because I do think that's a fair point. Because
I feel like it's so much jargon that's negative always coming from so many different places.
Well, I don't necessarily know if it was negative per se, in the sense of
he basically said he wasn't feeling her.
Yeah, I mean, but my point is, but he was also bigging up Beyonce, right?
But Beyonce don't got nothing to do with it. Beyonce did her thing already. We loved it. We celebrated it.
I think people gotta have a space where they can express their opinions. I agree.
At your house.
No, he got his own platform. He's got his own space.
But that's what I'm saying. Where's the level of accountability on the fact that you got billions of people watching? My man got billions of people watching.
Hold tight, because clearly, if I need to get some of this Rihanna check that is clearly getting paid to you right now, I need you to hold tight. The notion of being responsible doesn't always reconcile with the notion of being authentic. Because for him to be responsible in that space says, I can't make a comparison that I might authentically want to make.
Correct.
Or I can't share an opinion that I might authentically want. So I just think about it in those terms. But your point, G, I do get about the idea of like, yo, you didn't need to bring her into it. That I can live with. All right, we're going to move on and have some fun. All right? Bring this down a little bit. Get this train back in the station. It's this time of year. And by this time of year, I mean it's after the holidays, but before spring. So the only thing, speaking of Super Bowls, it's the Super Bowl for women, Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day.
Dum, dum, dum.
Right. So it had me thinking about rom-coms, right? And so I really want to know from both of y'all. I feel like between because I was like trying to think about what's the best black rom-com.
Oh, rom-com. I'm sitting here
So,
trying to
yeah.
figure out what the hell are you talking about.
Romantic comedy.
Got it,
Yes.
I got it. Yeah.
Romantic comedy, right?
The king of acting.
I thought you ran around in the Santa suit again. I'm like, what is rom-com?
Oh yeah, you got.
That's why I was
about
looking
like
right.
cosplay.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Gotcha.
terminology.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
you got me again.
Rom-com,
Got it.
romantic comedy.
Got it.
Glossary of terms. Romantic comedy.
Got it.
Right. I think even though they weren't classified as such, I honestly think that we don't have any more iconic romantic comedies than Boomerang and Coming to America. I think those are the two most iconic black rom-coms that we have. I think there are others that exist, but in terms of like the pinnacle, I don't think that anybody beats them. So my question then becomes, ironically, because this is like a testament to this man's talent, does that make Eddie Murphy the king of the black rom-com? I would have never thought about it, but like when I thought about Boomerang and Coming to America, there are no rom-coms that are black that are beating that. You could kind of sort of look at The Best Man as a rom-com, maybe, but it still doesn't beat either of those two movies.
Right.
So then what would beat it? I think that puts Eddie at the top.
Put him at the top, clearly. If that's the barometer, yeah.
What would you make the barometer?
I mean, you narrowed it down when you said rom-com, black rom-com.
Yeah, what would you put up against it?
Nothing. Once you put Boomerang in it, that shuts it all down.
So of the two,
I think you even mentioned it Coming to America. Most people wouldn't even consider that a rom-com.
They wouldn't.
Right.
They wouldn't. But it is.
But it is, yeah.
It is,
Yeah.
right? And when I was going through it, I was like, when I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, nah, it's a romantic comedy.
Yeah. Boomerang is the GOAT, though.
You think Boomerang is better than Coming to America?
Hands down.
As a rom-com?
As a rom-com.
As a rom-com.
Not as a comedy by itself.
Okay.
As a rom-com.
Okay.
I mean, Eddie could get it. He deserves it.
He definitely deserves it. I think he definitely, of the two, which would you say?
Boomerang.
Really? I'm actually gonna go with Coming to America.
Really?
Can we get an honorable mention in there, though?
Of Boomerang?
No, well, you know what?
Family Matters?
I don't even want to go to
Because we know you don't watch it, so.
Nah, come on.
No. Which one will be your honorable mention?
I was going to say Color Purple, but most people wouldn't consider that a comedy. I thought that was hilarious.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Let's do it.
Sir.
Let's turn up.
Pardon my French. What the are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Want another one? Precious.
All right.
Comedy. Let's get it going.
I can't. I can't ask how. I want to ask how.
Another time.
Yeah, bro. Like, no, bro.
Yeah.
No.
Romantic comedies.
Nah.
You may not like who liked each other, but it was funny.
What's funny about that?
Which one?
Either.
Seeley wasn't funny?
No. What was funny about her?
What are you talking? You know, we need movie night. Glow, set it up.
It's on.
Gee, set it up, please. Because this guy.
Wednesday, we're doing Black Cinema.
I go with Coming to America because, number one, Eddie wrote the movie. Of course, he wrote both of them, but in terms of characters, he played so many different characters in that film. And it was genius to me. Like, the fact that he played so many characters and he wrote it and he produced it and he directed it. Yo, like, this was at the peak of Eddie Murphy's powers
Right.
in terms of Hollywood. Like, he was unstoppable.
He had a reign for a minute.
Yeah, I mean.
What's the other one called? Hercules.
Oh, Nutty Professor
Nutty
is
Professor.
actually, that's actually a romantic comedy.
Yes.
Damn, I didn't even think about that. It's not on that level, but it is a romantic comedy for sure.
That was a great one.
Damn.
But isn't every movie romantic? Because every movie is almost about somebody falling in love or something like that.
Nah, I can't go
Name
that
one.
far. Vampire in Brooklyn?
It was about, remember he was trying to get Angela Bassett.
He was a vampire, though, right?
But he still smashed, remember?
All right, we're going to move on. So that's going to bring us to our contributor segment. This week, we are so blessed and so fortunate to have G on the couch. So that's going to bring us to Branded by G, our contributor segment where you get to wax poetic about what's on your mind. And what are we talking about today? We've talked, when you get the mic, I never know what to expect. It could be parenting one day and then like masturbation and self-love the next. So Where are we going to?
So today we're gonna be talking about lying. Lies.
Untruths.
Untruths.
That was a bad word in a lot of households. Like you couldn't even say like you lied. Like
True that.
people would be like, you had to tell us. I mean, in my house,
You fibbed.
yeah, or you told a story.
Right, told a story. So
Storyteller.
You're a storyteller.
So we're gonna talk about lying, but we're gonna talk about it in the sense of like with friends.
Okay.
So when you lie to your friend, like, does it destroy your ability to trust this person again? You know what I'm saying? Like,
What type of lie?
it doesn't matter. What type of lie?
I mean,
That's not true.
there's the girl, do I look fat in this dress lie, and then there's the like, was Tyrone over here last night because I seen his Wi-Fi connect lie. Like, so there's levels to this.
There's levels to it, but at the end of the day, it's still a lie. And something happens to the relationship when lies present themselves. If you lie, you get away with it, then nothing happens. We kind of go along and move around as if nothing ever happened. You don't get caught. But once you get caught, the fragment of the relationship changes.
And you're saying you have a problem with that?
I'm saying, can you trust that person again?
So I we tend to have these conversations in the context of relationships,
Right.
Like men and women, and like romantic relationships. The friends element is interesting to me. Is it your experience, or have you experienced like that type of betrayal from a girlfriend?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. I'm talking about from a girlfriend.
Yeah. What's that like?
That's the whole thing. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm thinking about it from a male to male perspective as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, in what sense, like, how does the texture of the relationship change? Because you really, like, once a lie presents itself, you start to doubt everything a person says. Was Tyrone here last night? Nah, he wasn't here. You see Tyrone's sneaker right there. You know what I'm saying?
So you just got size 13 J's
Right.
just
You know
sitting
what
in
I'm
the
saying?
living room.
You might not call it out. You might just be like, mental check. You know what I'm saying? But it changes now your lens of that person. Now, usually we say, at least for me, I define a friend that knows everything about you and still chooses to be your friend.
That part.
Okay?
Okay.
So the friend, so that's what I'm saying, like, the existence of lying is always prevalent in the friend relationship. But how do you manage that? You know what I'm saying? Are you one of these people that now constantly don't trust the person? Or are you one of these people that say, I understand who he is or who she is and why they feel they need to create this fabrication, you know what I'm saying? And let them exist in that space without it impeding on who you are as a person.
I don't know. I think it boils down. When I hear you, it's an expectation, right? So if you're gonna be the friend that respects and understands them for who they are, then the liar part was in the who they are. They've lied before, right? You've witnessed that. So I think the expectation has to change as far as when dealing with that person. But again, like anything else, like once you drop any color in white, it's no longer white.
Right.
So I get it.
I think to your point about friends, right? It's really about meeting people where they are. And what I mean by that is you have to be honest about who is in your friend circle.
Right. And
you have to like know how they roll. I think the prevailing question or guide for me is, and I know this is gonna sound crazy, like in the context of your segment, but the question is like, can I trust you?
Right.
Which is like a really, I know it's like you obviously they're a liar, so or they lie or so and so. The nuance, if you can call it that, of what do you lie about, right? Like why are you lying? Whatever is a thing versus do you demonstrate some level of understanding about like this over here that I might sort of fib about is not that significant versus you gonna have everybody's just out there because you don't know the difference and just will lie just for the sake of lying. Like we got people who I have people who I know who embellish. Right. I know they embellish. Like I just know that's what they are. Like so, yeah, that's just who they are. So forth. But I also know like when the chips are down, they're not gonna like just have us out there.
Right.
Those people I'm fine with. The people who I think you kind of sort of really can't really mess with are the people who don't seem to be able to show a difference. They'll just lie about anything all the time,
right?
For no reason at all. Those people are really scary. I'm curious for you as a woman in these spaces. when that type of relationship is damaged in that way, at your age now, like being, older, having seen different things, are you more inclined to just let it go and walk away, or are you the type to sort of try to work through it?
I think I always have the statement of saying I'm very comfortable allowing people to exist where they are.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna work through it. I'm gonna.
I thought you meant you was like comfortable letting them lie and just like, all right, that's what they are.
No, I mean,
you're like, I'm leaving you there.
Not leaving the meaning that I won't be friends. I'm just saying, like, I'm comfortable allowing people to exist in their own belief of self. Because, like, that's the idea. That's who I believe myself to be.
What's that even mean?
She's gonna break it down.
Right.
That's who I believe myself to be, and that's who you believe me to be.
Some deep shit.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So when that person presents
She's
in
lying.
their story, right? I'm okay allowing.
He's cooking you. You're getting cooked right now. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I hate him. But what I'm saying when I say I'm okay allowing that person to exist where they are, it's me basically saying, if you feel like you need to lie to embellish this story so that your story sounds whole,
yeah,
I'm all right with that. But know that whenever you're saying, there's always consequences built into that. So when that shit shows up,
yeah,
I'm gonna be like,
and when it affects the relationship,
right,
you gotta live with what
you gotta live with the consequence. You can't undo edit it. You know what I'm saying?
I always appreciate your segments because it gives me a perspective on woman to woman relationships that like I wouldn't ever have. That I think a lot of our audience just would never have because we men. So
right, that part.
Brandon by G always keeping us up on what needs to be kept up on. That's gonna bring us to our main conversation for the day. But before we get into it, make sure you do yourself a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're listening on Pandora, iTunes, Amazon, Apple Music, all the above, the Charles Coleman Podcast is where you want to be. We're not just outside. We're not just on the way up. We're in hyperspace. So come get with us, your new home for Black brilliance. So I've been struggling with something that I'm trying to find a balance with. We have a lot of conversations. Everybody's like, oh, well, we want to keep our energy positive. Don't go into low vibration, avoid low vibrational spaces, all of that. And then we also have talked about believing in the Negro. We've talked about community. We've talked about sort of calling out low life behavior so that we can divorce ourselves from poverty mindset, which I think is appropriate and honorable. Kind of sort of like, you know better, you have conversations with people, you do better, ideally. But then at the same time, maybe this is just where some people want to be. You got to let people enjoy things. Or maybe people use certain spaces for an outlet. And you kind of sort of got to let them stay in low vibrational spaces because they're voluntarily engaging it. So I'm wondering, where is the line? What is the balance between sort of assuming that role of someone who knows better and you want to be the one in your crew or in the spaces that you're in where people look to and they're like, yo, don't bring that bullshit around G. Because G not on that. Or don't bring that BS around Curt because Curt's not on that. Versus like, yo, just let people enjoy things. If that's what they want to do, then let them do that. Like, what's the line there?
I mean, I think the line is where it starts to disrupt you, Like, if somebody's on some low vibe and it's taking you out, taking all of your energy, then you got to protect yourself and just move. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't be the sacrificial lamb to their vibrational energy, you know what I'm saying? On some, I got to rock with this because that's where they at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's so, you said it. It's so much stuff we're constantly being inundated by. If you're not like intentional about protecting your peace, bro, you're going to just be drained by the end of the day with some of this shenanigans. Because sometimes it's not even intentional. It might not even be your people. It might just be you scrolling through your social media feed and just so much content just coming at you that's just got you just crazy.
I mean, it's just because, and a lot of it admittedly is a combination of the world that we live in and, it's exacerbated by social media. And so like, I'll be on social media one day, obviously with what I do in terms of the news, you're inundated with so many very, very difficult and draining stories. So there's that, right? If you're someone who's just following current events, the discourse generally is just super polarizing and it's very, very toxic. Okay, cool. So you take a break from that and now you go to social media. And now you're on social media. And of course, some of that is shaped by who you follow, what they're about, what those algorithms are giving you. But there's still a piece of what's being fed to you just being also toxic. This rapper and his baby mama, he threw her out of this. And just something crazy. This dude got 32 kids by 11. And you're just like, yo, what is this? And then sometimes your friends send you stuff and you want to say like, yo, we should be better than that. Don't send me that stuff, so on and so forth. But then you also don't want to necessarily be preachy.
Right.
Like where's the gauge? I do appreciate, G, what you said about the need to sort of use yourself as a barometer. Like don't allow you to get drained. But then at the same time, again, when you're in spaces repeatedly where you want better for your folks, for the people you're around, how do you navigate that?
But I think all of this is a byproduct of individualism, right? It's too much. We all doing too much by ourselves. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's definitely overwhelming because there's so many different things. Whereas, you know, if you had a community around your way of life, your way of thinking, and you really centered yourself in that group, you can bounce some of this stuff around, and it doesn't seem so everything is on me kind of a mindset.
That's interesting. So your approach is figure out your village and let your village be part of your filter.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense because I think if I think about it in terms of who I associate with, generally speaking, we ain't sending each other like all of that. And so that's also why, now that you say that, it's really jarring to get something outside of that space because I'm like, me and my peoples don't do that.
Right.
So like we kind of know where about we modulate and like we keep it there. But the question I have is like, so if that's going to be the case, do you grow the community or do you grow the village or are you just content to like G was talking about earlier, just leave folks where they at?
Well, I like G's perspective as far as leaving people where they're at, but if your village is strong enough the way it is, I say you leave it. If you still have little compromising spots within your village where things are kind of seeping through, I think you need to increase it. It's all predicated on what's necessary to protect your peace or to allow you to evolve.
What do you think about that village model?
I think the village model is important. I also think that we have to like constantly adjust because we're living in a time where our access to stuff and information is like 100 times more than ever.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? And if we don't have like intentional behavior to allow us to filter that, like I love watching animals, like the little dog videos. Like it's definitely doing something and letting go some endorphins when I'm on social media. The little cute puppies with their little outfits. I'm telling you, gotta check it out. I promise you. As like just like dumbed down.
I just didn't know what you did.
No, I got 2 little Yorkie poodles at the crib.
I
So
know,
I
but I
love
didn't know
puppies.
you, like-
You know what I'm saying? But watching like content that's just super adorable, little babies doing little funny stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like to balance out watching Memphis or some crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like this stuff is coming at you the minute you grab it. This device is with you all day. And if you don't have some kind of regimen, you know what I'm saying, within your community to be like, yo, don't send me that wild video. Send me that cute puppy video in the middle of my day while my day is going crazy or I'm sitting in front of a wild customer that's wearing me out and then my phone go off and I'll look and it's just a 2-second break. It's gonna do something for me, you know what I'm saying? But my tribe know that. Don't send me this guy's head just got cut off and is rolling down the block. I be like, I got some friends that do that. That thing is funny. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, nah.
Sorry, G.
Sorry. Like,
I won't say that no more. Yeah.
You know, I think that it is, for me, sort of a mixture. The first thing that I do, because I often have to talk about these things publicly, is that I am mindful of what extra stuff I take on. Like if I ain't gotta see it,
right,
and I feel like it's gonna be traumatic, or I feel like it's extra ratchet, and or I feel like it's draining and it doesn't make me feel good, I really try to put it down. But to the village point, which I think is an excellent one, I am very critical about like, yo, chill, like don't send me another. I'll say it in a joking way, like, yo, don't send me another one of these. Like, or I'll try to respond by sending people type of stuff that I would want to get back.
Right.
And then in terms of growing the village, I try to like see where people are. So before I try to put them on to something or get them to turn away from something, I try to gauge how receptive they might be to how it's going to land.
Right.
And then maybe I'll make it open. It's just, I think, finding that balance, because I personally want to see us do better. Like we always say it.
Right.
Oh, we got to do better. We got to do better. Right. But then what are you doing in your own spaces to contribute to that? And so that's why I wanted to have this conversation. That's why I thought you guys would be the perfect people to have it. And guess what? I was right. But of course, you know what's coming up next. We've got rules of engagement. And this is our adult conversation on love, sex, and relationships. Looking forward to a good one today. But before we do, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching us on YouTube, catching all this fly sexiness that you see all over your computer, all over your phone. If you're listening to us, whether that's Pandora, whether that's iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever they're heard, this is the new home for Black Brilliance, your new favorite podcast, the Charles Coleman Podcast. Make sure you are liked, registered, subscribed, and that you're sharing it. Super excited about this evening and our conversation tonight. We got a lot of black sexy. You are doing yourself a disservice if you're just listening, because the visuals, I'm telling y'all right now, off the meat rack. Gotta get started. To my left, we have just, this is like Tina meets Black Beyonce meets just South Dallas's finest. Just keep going. Just the finest of South Dallas.
Matter of fact, just give me the sweater.
I mean, no, I'm gonna keep this, but we got Hilari Powell in the building. How you doing?
I'm great.
You look amazing.
Thank you for having me.
I
Thank
love
you.
it. I love it.
Thank you.
And of course, to my right, the name says it all. Mr. Style and Performance, DJ CEO is in the building. Both style and performance on
Yes,
them.
sir. Yes, sir.
I love it. Pink and ring and champagne and campaigning.
I'm happy to be here, man.
This is like, the look is so appropriate for the conversation, because the conversation was, the impetus was, I was listening to Andre 3000 and UGK and the classic, the urban classic Players Anthem.
Yes.
Okay? And I listened to Andre's verse, right? Both of you guys are married. At one point, both of y'all was outside, right? At one point, y'all had to CC a text to them people used to CC around town. At one point, you had to wrap things up.
Right.
What are the rules around that? So you found somebody, you really, really want to make it official, like not just like this my girl, but like I'm hanging it up. And I'm hanging it up, I'm walking down the aisle. What are the rules there? Who do you have to tell?
Okay.
And are there rules about how you got to tell them? Like,
That's, who? Ladies first. Go ahead.
Oh, he had, listen, we know he is in the hot seat. For me,
Yeah.
I personally just had to change my number.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
wow!
I
That's
changed my
a
number.
lot. That's a lot.
It was a good, I mean, like, I
Just
couldn't
a
do
clean
that now.
break.
I couldn't do that now, but like,
Because there was no social media. You wasn't on social media.
right, back then, no
So that was an
social
easy
media.
cut.
Right, and it was a very transitional period, and so, I wasn't like hot shit like I am now, which I couldn't change my number now in that way, but like then I just had to change my number.
Did it work? I mean, I guess so. You're
Yeah,
still
it
married.
worked.
Were you ever like worried about like somebody who had the old number getting the new joint?
I mean, it happened.
Did it? Let me ask you this.
It was there were some kerfuffles in the beginning. It's never easy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I appreciate that answer. That's honest.
It is never easy. It wasn't easy in either direction.
Did y'all talk about it? Like, did you talk to your husband about it?
Yeah.
I
I had to. Like, it was like who is that nigga? Like that kind of thing. You gotta talk about it. Like,
Oh, did he understand, or was it like a little bit of beef?
obviously, yes.
I mean, you the prize, right?
That's it. Trophies.
Okay, I gotta come back to that, but CEO, you're a man.
Right.
So I'm curious, what did your process look like?
Well, it depends on who. So like when you're single, you just like, anybody, man or woman, you have kind of like, I don't want to say tiers, but like sections. Like these are people who I'm kicking it with and actually kind of getting to know and
Yeah.
liking. Then you might have one or two where it's just like, this is a beneficial thing and whatever.
Mutual benefit,
right?
But
So
very little obligation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So for those, I'll deal with those first, like the whole just mutual benefit kind of thing, no strings attached. It's kind of like you let them know, like when you're nearing, it's like, yo, I'm seeing somebody, or I'm about to like commit. We're gonna have to cut this out. Depending on how long you're going, it could be like I was one for the road, and then that's it before I make the official commitment. And then those who you were kind of kicking it with, those are the more difficult ones, because oftentimes when you're making this decision, if you know what you want, like they usually share a lot of the same check boxes.
Yeah.
So then what happens is
you probably have feelings. Let's
have
keep it real.
You do have feelings.
You do have feelings.
But it becomes your heart, not to be cliches, but your heart. Like something inside you tells you, nah, this is the one I got, it is. And you let, almost like, hey, when you apply for a job and you don't get it, they be like, thank you for thank you for applying.
Good luck with the future.
Good luck with the future and all that. And then you kind of, you let them go.
If you need a reference.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
I won't say I got nothing bad to say about you.
Right, exactly.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
But okay, so you feel like those people are older conversation. Now, let me ask you this. Did you actually tell them, yo, I'm with someone, or did you tell them I'm getting married? Because I know some people have been like, yo, I'm just seeing somebody, I'm with somebody, it's serious, so on and so forth, and they didn't say anything. And then when they popped up on the engagement, it was kerfuffles, as you said.
But you're talking about like, these are significant timetables. Now, everybody's dating to marriage timetable is the same. But when you talk about marriage, these are significant timetables. So we talk about I'm getting married, and that conversation should have happened a long time ago. Like, you're not having that now, like they didn't see you like, oh, I'm getting married.
It's not.
But those people.
Because there's a lot of people who be in spaces where.
I'm talking about me. This ain't like Family Feud when you got to answer the survey.
100 people said. Okay.
I'm talking about me. Like, nah, like at that point, ain't nobody showing up at this point that was from my past that is owed any explanation or nothing. Like, you super late.
Also, I wanted to add that, depending, like he said, depending on the timeline, like I wasn't now, this is the midlife. Like I was young. So I still had homegirls who were like out in the spaces, and they definitely like were PR and marketing. Like, so just to let you know, Tayrell, don't be calling Hill, cause
I never thought about that.
Okay.
Girl,
I never thought about that.
Women, we look out for each other.
I never thought about it. I never even thought about it.
Listen, Desmond, don't call Hill, okay?
Because the kerfuffles get real.
Yeah. Dudes,
I never even thought about that.
You roll up on your homegirl and be like, "What's up with your girl?" It was a lot of that.
It was a lot of that, and then
I got you. Yeah.
So
and then it was a lot of gaslighting too, because you gotta listen, women, we gotta. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna tell a couple secrets.
Hold on. You know what? I'm not even mad that she's telling the truth.
No, I'm serious.
I'm not even mad.
We gotta gaslight y'all a little bit. She'll say shit like, "You was moving too slow." Knowing the whole time I was not about to be serious about Tyrell. It was just Ruth's Chris and Morton's. That's what it was.
Just dirt on the salt in the wound is all it is.
She just letting them know, like, next girl, if you really like her,
you gotta move fast.
on. Right.
But meanwhile, you was really just in it for the Mr.
I wasn't
Childs
thinking about Tyrell.
And
I wasn't thinking about Tyrell like that. Nope. Yeah.
So I got a question for you. So you said there was kerfuffles on both ends.
Yeah.
When he was tying things up, how did you handle that? Because y'all talked about it, which I think is interesting. I don't know that I would want to know.
He was making calls. He actually had to make some calls.
I know, and I wouldn't want to know.
And that's because y'all niggas always like got some ass somewhere. Like you always stringing along somebody to have sex with all the time. So you got to make some calls.
Women don't have that?
Women don't have
Absolutely not.
You was a lie. See,
that's chase. Women are chase.
See, you was doing so good. You was doing so well.
Pure.
You was doing so well.
Women are.
The gaslighting.
We have roses. Now.
This is a place where honesty lives.
You know what a rose is? Never mind.
I know what the rose is.
Y'all didn't always have roses.
Y'all didn't always have them. Though.
We always had roses.
Anyway.
All right.
So.
We always.
How did you.
Had roses.
How did you handle when the mister was having his. Were you supportive? Did you want to know? Because honestly, I wouldn't want to know. Like how you wrap things. Because I might disagree with how you wrap things up. Like you might say something in that conversation where I'm like, what? Like next lifetime, bad timing. I'm more than bad time. I don't want to feel like I'm bad timing or what. So because my thing is, how you navigate that should be your business as an adult, as long as they understand and are clear about what the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
But some people want to know, and y'all said you said y'all talked about it. So I'm just curious, like,
But we had to, because see, my husband was engaged to someone else before,
oh shit,
and you know, like I didn't know that person, even though we like all went to Howard together.
I know.
I didn't.
someone
I didn't
went to
know that-
Howard with us.
Yeah, I didn't know that person.
Nigga, this is so messy.
Is it messy?
I don't think it's messy.
I don't think it's messy.
I don't think it's messy. However, I'm familiar,
You're familiar
with
the story,
story.
right? Yeah. So I didn't know the person, right?
I'm
but
older
then I
than both
started-
of them, so I was gone. I
Yeah, you
wasn't
was definitely
involved.
going by
I
this
wasn't
time.
involved.
So I
wasn't
started
involved.
getting all of this weird energy from like people that I was cool with at school, kind of like I had done, but I didn't know anything about my husband. Like you already know. I kind of, I wasn't like in the streets. I was outside though, outside of Howard. It was like Howard wasn't my dating like.
But you
it
was
wasn't where I was
outside
pulling my-
elsewhere.
Yeah, so I didn't really know like what was actually going on. Like I wasn't in the inner workings of campus drama and romance or anything. So I knew both of these people like separately or whatever, but I really how do I say this without saying I don't see ugly things? I didn't know. I'll just say that. So then after it all kind of like we got together, people were like asking me questions about a person I don't even know. So he had to kind of like really have some real conversations. But there was a lot of time in between, so it's just weird. I
Oh,
think,
that's weird.
yeah, it was just weird.
Did you give him like instruction of like, yo, you need to say this?
No.
Just let him handle
When
it.
a person comes into your life, and then I'm sure you can vouch for this, and you make the decision that that's the person you love and that's the person you want to be with, especially spend your life with, you don't have to give them any instruction. He like knew what to do. He
Right.
understood what to do.
But you also, in total transparency, like we have to be honest with something that we need to think about is like, all right, so how long were you single before you decided to get in this information, this committed relationship?
Yeah.
Because you would like to think, in theory, this is what happens,
It's not.
and it's not.
It's not
so
real.
you have to give people a grace period, understand like they are also altering their lifestyle,
Right.
Yeah.
and so it's going to take a minute to kind of get all of this stuff out.
Right.
And, so it's not a grace period to like for infidelity, but just like these people that I'm in contact with, like, it's going to take a
They
minute.
come in, they come out.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
going to take
so-
a minute. Yeah.
Last question. Because the song jokes about he CC'd them on a text.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that appropriate or inappropriate? Or does it matter? I personally don't think it matters. If you know, you know. I ain't trying to be with you. So either way, if I told you, I told you. However, I told you. Now, granted, I do think that there are certain conversations, certain people get certain conversations like, you know what? You get a phone
Right,
call.
like I
you
said,
get
if
a
there's some real
face-to-face.
connection there, you kind of you owe them that much to have that conversation. If it's super casual, it could be a text, it could be a phone call, it could be in passing. Oh, by the way, like whatever,
Nigga said on the J train.
whatever, man. Like
Ew, I'm about to get married. Peace.
it just it depends on the level of whatever that relationship was.
As a woman, do you think that their rules doesn't matter? Like in terms of being on the receiving end.
Oh.
I mean, if it's over, right?
So I'm one of those people who has never actually broken up with anyone
Mm-hmm.
and never really had anyone break up with me. But it's kind of like a
Mutual.
drifting.
A
kind of
drift?
thing.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so
Okay.
you do the slow ghost?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You do the
Well,
slide
I haven't
off.
done it in a long time, but
But
I
you
just,
used to do the
when I
slide
think
off.
about how things,
I can
I
respect
will
that.
kind of just, I answer the phone for 2 or 3 days.
Like Homer going into the bushes on the meme, right?
A little,
right.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
you do the slow slide off.
But it's also how you make. So here we go again. I'm telling more secrets. I'm just being very honest. Back then, you don't want to like.
Cut them off.
For me, I don't want to cut them off. Like I don't want to make it seem like we got a problem.
I like Morton's.
I mean, these are nice people that I've been hanging out with.
That
and
take
having
me to
good-
get food for
It's
free.
not just food, because I wasn't that trivial. Like, you know what I'm saying? But just nice people that I kick it with, that I hang out with, that I don't want to like.
So you're acknowledging, and I'm not judging. I promise you, I'm not judging you. You're acknowledging that on a certain level, you allowed the illusion of that emotional connection to remain in place because it was beneficial to you at some point.
What if I wanted to go? Like, okay, so yeah, I'm in a committed relationship now, but sometimes shit don't work out. What if I want to like?
You want options.
You want to
there
go back. You want
right.
to go
I don't
back.
want to create an issue with the person where they feel damaged and hurt by me.
Right.
You don't think that? I mean,
Men don't think that deeply.
no.
Men
What I'm saying
don't
is,
think that deeply.
no. What I'm saying is, the slide off,
Mhm.
which I'm not mad at. right? The slide off has often been explained to me as a man as like that is emotionally damaging to a woman.
To women, but that's what I'm saying. To men, it's not.
So you feel like it's okay
No,
not the way around.
Oh, it's totally fine.
You know what? At a minimum, I appreciate your honesty.
Do you agree with me though? Is the slide up emotional damage?
I will
it
say
doesn't matter.
I would have to really, really, really like them.
Yeah.
And this is what I was gonna say.
Idea.
That's what
Usually I don't care.
That's what's normally not taken into account. Like, and it's partially men's fault in our inability to communicate how we feel emotionally oftentimes. But yeah, if you really like somebody and they do that to you, we gonna go cry in the car.
In the car. And I think
car?
that there were a couple criers. I agree with you, but at the same time, like, they also understood. You know what I'm saying? And
you understand.
You know what I'm saying? And so, because I didn't make it a thing, if ever, like, not that I would revisit something at this point, but I'm just saying, like, it would just be cool. Like, we had fun together.
No, I get it, but I think that sometimes that slow slide off can send a mixed message, especially if it turns into a slow slide off. And I guess it depended on how much time, for example, if it's a slow slide off in January and it's a engagement for Valentine's Day, I'm pissed.
Yeah, because that's not being honest.
Because there's something about that.
That's not being honest.
Something about that seems disingenuous.
No.
Like
the math ain't mathing.
You got to live with it and hold that L.
I think you got to
but
put
I
at
understand
least
it's pissed.
3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 month window between.
But again, this is why this becomes complicated, because when you're talking about engagement and marriage, ideally, are there people who meet somebody and fall in love and get married next week? Yeah, but hypothetically, you've had all this time.
Yeah,
that conversation should have been had.
I've known people who literally done it the night before. Or like the week before.
Well, yeah, that's because they want some sleazy stuff.
But that's because they still getting it in. We're talking about a good black man shit.
People
right?
with integrity.
You were good black people. Good black people.
So there should have been. There's nothing else that's happening.
People with integrity.
Right. 3 to 6 months is a good window integrity wise. Well, that's gonna do it for another edition of Rules of Engagement. Whatever you got to do, just remember it's not what you do, it's how you do it, and the people who need to know will know when they're supposed to know. That's what it is. That's the word for today. My name is Charles Coleman. This has been Hilari Powell and my man DJ CEO in the building on the Charles Coleman podcast. Our conversation about adult sex, love, and relationships. This is Rules of Engagement. We'll see you next Wednesday. Peace.